It's important for us to get through this crisis, protecting both the public health and our democracy. And today, it looks like once again, in Florida and Illinois, we're still awaiting to hear from Arizona, our campaign has had a very good night. We've moved closer to securing the Democratic Party's nomination for president. And we're doing it by building a broad coalition that we need to win in November.
I'm Julie Pace, Washington Bureau Chief for the Associated Press. And this is Ground Game. After more than a year of political uncertainty for Democrats, we now know who the party will run against President Donald Trump in November. Joe Biden's sweeping victories in Tuesday's primaries all but assured him the Democratic nomination. And that's left Bernie Sanders trying to figure out an exit plan. We hope you and your families are healthy and safe, and of course, social distancing during this extraordinary global pandemic. If you need a break from all of the coronavirus news, we are here with a campaign update. Yes, there's still a presidential campaign. And here are my big 3 questions to watch. First,
this is a moment for each of us to see and believe the best in every one of us, to look out for our neighbor, to understand the fear and stress that so many are feeling.
How does Joe Biden campaign as the presumptive Democratic nominee during this really scary time for many Americans? Second,
let me say, especially to the young voters who have been inspired by Senator Sanders, I hear you. I know what's at stake. I know what we have to do. Our goal as a campaign, and my goal as a candidate for president, is to unify this party, and then to unify the nation.
What does Bernie Sanders want, and what can Joe Biden give him? And third,
I look at it, I view it as in a sense, a wartime president. I mean, that's what we're fighting.
A big question being asked at the White House right now: how is the coronavirus outbreak going to impact President Donald Trump's re-election bid? For Joe Biden, this should be a week of celebration. In Tuesday's primaries, he just ran up the score. If you look at the map of Florida, Biden won every county in that perennial swing state. Mathematically, it's virtually impossible for Bernie Sanders to catch up with him. Joe Biden will be the Democratic nominee. But he can't really relish in that opportunity. He can't really relish in something that he has sought in his long political career over decades. And there's a couple reasons why. First, this is just not a moment where Americans are interested in pure politics. We are dealing with a global health crisis. We're dealing with a looming economic crisis. And nobody wants to see a politician celebrating their own personal success. And so you've seen Joe Biden, as he has talked to Americans virtually, of course, really taking a more somber approach, talking about the challenges ahead, talking, of course, about why he thinks he's the best person to take on those challenges. But this is hardly somebody who is celebrating this big achievement that he's had. The other reason that Biden can't really relish in this moment is that mathematically, he does still have some work to do. Again, the math on delegates means that Bernie Sanders almost certainly can't catch up here. But we've seen in states across the country decisions to push primary contests back. June 2nd is suddenly a big day on the calendar for upcoming primaries. And so Biden's going to have to wait several weeks, a couple of months really, before he actually has the delegates he needs to mathematically cinch this nomination. So he's the nominee in waiting, but he is going to be waiting. And that leads me to my second question.
We need to provide a direct emergency $2,000 cash payment to every household in America every month for the duration of the crisis, to provide them with the assistance they need to pay their bills and take care of their families.
What does Bernie Sanders want right now, and what can Biden give him? After the Tuesday primaries, Sanders' campaign was pretty blunt. They said that the Vermont senator was reassessing his campaign prospects. Generally, that's code in a campaign for, I'm probably going to have to drop out. I'm just trying to figure out how and what I want to get out of this. Sanders has really struggled throughout this campaign to build on his coalition. Yes, young people are still big Sanders supporters. Yes, liberal voters of all ages really want to join the Bernie revolution, but he hasn't been able to get African Americans on board. We even saw in Florida that his support out west with Hispanics did not translate into that state. But Sanders is still a powerful political figure. He's the leader of the left, the leader of the liberal wing of the Democratic Party. And from a policy perspective, that could give him some leverage. We've already seen Joe Biden, as he's trying to reach out to liberals and to young voters, embrace Bernie Sanders' plan for eliminating college debt. We've seen him embrace a bankruptcy plan from Elizabeth Warren. And you want to ask yourself right now, what could Bernie get out of this? Is there something specific that Joe Biden could give him? Maybe it's a cabinet position. Most likely not. It's hard to see Bernie Sanders serving in anybody else's administration. Is it a commitment on healthcare policy? Is he going to push Joe Biden to embrace some elements of the Medicare for All policy? Is he going to push for Joe Biden to ensure that some liberal lawmakers or liberal political figures do have a seat in his cabinet? Sanders has some leverage here, but he also has to get out of this race, if he chooses to, in a way that brings his supporters along. They're never going to be as enthusiastic about Joe Biden as they are about Bernie Sanders. But for Democrats right now, the real issue is defeating Donald Trump, and they will need those Sanders supporters, particularly young voters who don't vote at a high rate, to come out for somebody beyond Sanders. And that's how Bernie has to try to exit this race. He's got to try to argue to his supporters that Biden is somebody that they can and should stand behind. There is, of course, another candidate in this race, and that's Donald Trump.
My message is to all Americans, but to those Americans who are going through a lot, we love them, we're with them, and we will not let them down.
He's the president of the United States, and he has spent the last couple of months really digging into his reelection campaign, having rallies around the country. He was ready to go full bore into this reelection campaign. Now he's grounded at the White House, and he's overseen a global pandemic and an economic crisis. And the big question that his advisors are asking right now is, how will all of this impact his reelection prospects? And the short answer is, we don't know. But it does seem like there's a huge sea change in the situation for Trump. Just a few weeks ago, he looked like he was going to be an incumbent president running on a strong economy. And for a sitting president, there's really nothing better that you want than a strong economy as you're making your case for why Americans should give you 4 more years. Now, we're looking at the prospects of a recession, millions of Americans out of work, the stock market cratering, deep uncertainty about the way forward. That's not a situation that Trump has had to manage through before. And we don't know how he will handle it. We've seen over the last couple of years, every time the stock market soars, Trump is there claiming that that's a signal of his success. So how does he argue that a cratering stock market is not a sign of his weakness? What does he say to millions of Americans who are struggling, who are wondering where they're going to get their next paycheck from? And is he seen as an empathetic leader? I think this is a really big intangible to watch over the next couple of months. Trump has never been a politician who has had that natural bit of empathy. He's not the kind of person who wades out into the crowd and gives people hugs. He's not that kind of I feel your pain president. But this is going to be a country that is going to be suffering. We don't quite know how much, and we certainly all hope that it's not as bad as the most dire predictions. But Donald Trump's voters, not just, Democrats or Republicans, all of this country is really going to be feeling the impact of this. And they look to their president for leadership. And we are going to be watching Donald Trump try to show Americans that he cares, try to make sure that they know that he's concerned about what's going on in their own lives and not just worried about his reelection. And I do think that for this president, that's a challenge. If he can do well at that, if he can figure out the right way to communicate with Americans in this moment, it could also be a huge opportunity. That's it for this episode of Ground Game. We'll be here every step of the way during this extraordinary moment in American politics, giving you all the news you need to know. Be sure to tell a friend about us, and please subscribe on Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. This episode of Ground Game was recorded on Thursday night. Some of the details of our discussion may have changed by the time you hear this. For up-to-date developments on all of your news, head over to apnews.com.
From the Westwood One Podcast Network.